Hey everyone, it's Kellen Brower from RacerX, back again with another race examination video from Orlando 1, where we're going to highlight a couple things from this 450 main event to start off with. First off, Zach Osborne gets the whole shot, and he's going to hold on for a couple laps here, but then he has this moment in the whoops and almost takes Brayton and Roczen with him, so I wanted to slow this down and kind of talk about it, because it obviously cost him the lead and second place at the time as Brayton and Roczen both go by. But as you see, coming up here, I'm going to pause it right about here, and you're going to see his front wheel getting a little sideways on this whoop, and that's all it took for these guys in the main event on these tricky kind of slick top whoops with a little bit of weird cups in them. You can see it throws his momentum forward, kicks him sideways. If there's like two more extra whoops in that whoop section, it's going to be a lot more wild ride for Osborne, but a nice job to corral it and not take either Brayton or Roczen with him. But Zacho says he doesn't even remember that moment happening. Now here's probably the moment of the race when Brayton's leading Roczen right behind him, and Webb's just going to come up the inside into this corner, triple down the inside of both of them, and make the pass for the lead, which proved pivotal because Webb would kind of hold on to the lead from here and eventually win the race. But in this pass, what's interesting here is if you slow it down, Brayton kind of causes Roczen to miss the inside rut right there, just because Kenny was kind of squaring off to the corner, maybe misjudged it slightly, didn't want to hit Brayton's rear tire. So as he slows down to go outside into the corner, Webb's just going to jump right up the inside of him here, and then Brayton, coming into this next corner, realizes Webb has nailed the triple to the inside, and instead of trying to square off and cut underneath of him like maybe he could do here, he knows Kenny's also right behind him, so he doesn't want to do that. So he just kind of has to bite the bullet here, go to the top of the berm, and wait for Webb and Roczen to both execute their pass. Fortunately for Brayton, he stayed in front of Barcia, but Brayton also would lose his front brake later in the main event and come home in 11th. Now, speaking of Barcia, later on in the main event, he had a wild one through the whoops while he was trying to hold off Zach Osborne for third. Osborne able to go by, and this all started kind of the same situation we saw with Zacho, where the front wheel hitting a whoop at a bit of an inopportune time there. This notch on the right side of the whoop catches Barcia's front wheel, and really his rear wheel kicks out too because of it, so it olays him off the bike. He kind of kicks the Suzuki Tough Block. Now, grabbing onto the clutch here was pivotal for Barcia, because as the bike rolls up this jump, you'll see his arms swing down on the throttle side, and if he's not holding onto the clutch, I think he very likely just kind of launches the bike off that jump, but he's holding onto the clutch, can kind of Superman back onto the bike, or at least tried to, then walks it up to the top of this jump and gets back on. A very wild ride that like kind of I feel like flew under the radar a little bit. Obviously, people saw it, so it's talked about a little bit, but a nice save by Barcia. And how about a little bit of credit to Barcia here when he was trying to go a little bit of Bam Bam mode on Zacho. Doesn't absolutely plow him for the spot. He could have lit him up a little bit harder than that, but played a little bit nicer, and in the end, Zacho does hold on for that final podium spot. In the end, though, it was Cooper Webb to hold on out front with Ken Roczen right behind him, so Webb picks up his second win of the season, now just 13 points behind Roczen. And the fist bump after the race, very nicely done, both of them rolling towards each other. Could have been a lot worse, maybe a little bit of contact and they both go down. But the fist bump is nice, and Webb is very excited about his second win of the season. I want to remind everybody that this video is presented by OnX Off-Road. Know where to go with the #1 off-road GPS app. Access 400,000 plus miles of trails and roads, open dates, and public lands. Download the OnX Off-Road app today. Now on to the 250 class, and the obvious talking point from Orlando is Christian Craig's heat race crash that threw him off the bike there and injured his hand a little bit. He was able to go through the last chance qualifier and make it into the main though. But this all started with just kind of clipping the triple landing. Obviously the suspension kind of rebounds, and then he's completely sideways at this point, plows into the jump, and is lucky to kind of downside that last whoop and land in some mud, but obviously did get a little bit hurt in his hand there. Now here's the main event start. Jett Lawrence and Colt Nichols battling for the whole shot. Lawrence with a great start, but I wanted to highlight this man right here. His name is Grant Harlan, and he tweeted me during the Indy 2 Supercross in the middle of the night show to say that him and Craig came out of the gate side by side, and he pulled a bike and a half on him from the start of the dirt to the corner. So those Star Yamahas pretty darn fast. But how about Harlan here in the main event getting a good start? Now he doesn't hold it. He actually got to the corner first, but he goes a little bit wide, and Lawrence gets the whole shot. But kudos, Grant Harlan. Nice job getting a good start. So Jett Lawrence got out front, and Colt Nichols basically hounded him for the first half of the race or so, until this moment from Colt Nichols right here that could have been disastrous. Almost over the bars on this double before the Supercross triple any lower, and it's probably a disastrous situation, but a nice save there, and able to close back up on Lawrence late in the race, but not quite get to him. Lawrence picks up his second career victory, and Nichols retains that points lead heading into the break. And then obviously after you win the race, you got to pull a victory tear off. That's how it goes, and you almost throw yourself off the back of the bike a little bit with a burst of throttle. Christian Craig did finish third in the main event with that hurt hand, and then look at this. You want to know why Jett Lawrence is so well liked? Comes up and makes sure Craig is okay after the race, as Craig is there with his wife Paige, and Lawrence always just such a good dude, even after he wins, still checking on his fellow riders. So that is the 250 East guys done, and we're heading to 250 West this weekend in Orlando too.